Media availability with Danica Patrick, driver of the number 7 GoDaddy car for Andretti Autosport. Danica's best finish in the IZOD IndyCar Series on the streets of Long Beach here was in 2009, where she started 22nd and worked her way up to 4th. Danica has also competed here in Long Beach in Toyota Atlantics, as well as the Toyota Celebrity Race, where she won the Pro Division. Danica, you've already had one session on the track today. Talk about the outlook for the weekend.
Well, I have a lot of fond memories of Long Beach. Winning the Pro Celebrity Race back 9 or 10 years ago, and then coming here in 2008, straight from Motegi to start the whirlwind after my win there, and then to finish 4th the next year. Last year wasn't so great, but I have a lot of good memories here. I think that this is a race that a lot of things can happen, and that's the nature of a street course, so it's important to be there to take advantage of it. I think that the emphasis for me is going to be trying to do the best I can to get a good qualifying effort out and be further up the grid. As those of you who follow IndyCar racing are familiar with the fact that it's challenging to pass in these cars. The double foul restarts have really changed that. I mean, you can pick up 5 spots, you can lose 5 spots. So that's been an interesting change that I like in the series. But ultimately, when you don't qualify well, you're forced to take risks, and sometimes those risks don't pay off. So it's best to be up the grid, and that's what we're going to be working towards. So the first practice session didn't go well at all. We were having a throttle issue, so it was as if I was kind of keeping my foot on the throttle the whole way around the track all the time. So it made it rather difficult to stop the car and turn the car. So hopefully that'll be fixed for the next practice, and we'll be able to feel the car a little bit more. When something like that is wrong, it makes it difficult to even feel the changes very well, because you're trying to overcompensate for something that is not normal. So, but I think that it's I think we could be good. A couple of our teammates were fast. Obviously, Ryan won last year, and he's running well already. So, I think we have some good teammates to look to if we need some specific direction.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open it for questions. Bruce.
Bruce Martin, SI.com. Does this season feel a little bit like Groundhog Day? Because you started off last year with struggling on street and road courses. Toronto is where you started to pick it up a notch. Now this year you're kind of having problems on street and road courses. Is it kind of like same scene, different year? I
would say that this year's felt a lot better to me, actually, than last year. The preseason testing went better. All of my practice sessions, I mean, this is, to be honest, probably the first practice session that hasn't really gone so well for me so far, but I'm much more in the top 10 to 15 range instead of way down. And, I guess I would have been apprehensive to say that a couple of years, but the competition's so difficult that if you can make it up into the top 10 or 12, that's a good practice. So, so we've been much better off so far for the most part in practice. It's just that in qualifying it doesn't go well. I've had one of the fastest lap times of the race for the first 2 races of the year already. So the pace is there when in the race. It's just that you start further back and you have to take chances. And at St. Petersburg, unfortunately, there was, for those of you who watched, quite a few yellow flags, and unfortunately, I had a wing. I broke the front wing on the last restart we did, and so I had to pit. And unfortunately, it never went yellow again. So I just was, half a lap behind with. What can you do? I mean, no matter how fast you are, you're only going to catch so many cars. So that was St. Petersburg. And then Barbara last weekend, we got up to 7th place, and we came in the pits and decided to take a chance on strategy and didn't take tires on the last stop, and it proved to be a really bad decision. But I think that we were looking for a relatively decent result, considering the fact that we started 22nd. So I actually think this year has been really good so far. We just haven't had the results to show for it.
Questions for Danica?
Yeah, hi. Is Long Beach one of your best races and favorite races you like to race in?
Oh, I don't think I'd say that. I enjoy coming to Long Beach. It's a great atmosphere. And when you're in those kinds of in a good atmosphere like this, with all kinds of people and excitement and buzz, then you always enjoy doing well. But it's I struggle more on road courses than I do on ovals, and although I've had probably almost as good a results really on road courses, but they tend to be when you have to take chances because I mean, I've qualified on the front row a couple of times a few years ago, but it's been a while, and so my qualifying isn't good enough, and it makes it you have to take chances in the race then. So I like coming here; it's a great atmosphere, but this is not one of my best races, but it's part of the schedule, and you still have to try and do well.
Thank you.
You're good. There's a microphone.
Jürgen Kalver, I live in New York, but I'm from Germany, and this is for German National Public Radio. Maybe a few more questions that you have answered in the past, but you have to forgive me. Number one, I would like to know...
one at a time.
Okay. You would probably like to win every race you start in, I assume that. If so, how close have you been in the past to even get to that for your second win? And if it didn't work out, what was mainly the reason why it didn't work out?
I think this is probably the story of a lot of race car drivers' lives. You have opportunities to do well and win races, and something just doesn't happen right. And I've had that situation happen to me at the Indy 500. I've had it at various different oval races. In fact, even when I was here in 2009 and finished fourth, I was a pretty fast car. So you catch the strategy right, and you pit just at the perfect lap, and the yellow comes out at the perfect time, and all of a sudden maybe I wouldn't have come out second, I'd have come out first. Who knows? So it's impossible to know which ones were the ones that you could have won, because if you didn't, you didn't. And so, but that's just the story of a race car driver's life. But that's what keeps us coming back for more, is that's the ultimate goal. And so you get that little taste of it and you feel close and it drives you to do it. So that's a common problem. But it happens for various reasons. It happens for luck. It happens because, I remember one year I was running really well at Michigan, and I got a cut tire, and you have to pit. So there are various different things that prevent you from getting victories that you think maybe should have been yours, but and that's what keeps you coming back for more.
Danica, I'm Randy Schutz with Internet Radio, and I'm also a teacher in Riverside. And many of my students look up to you as a role model.
Thank you.
And, thank you. It makes teaching a little bit easier. They race out in Paris.
Well, I'm very happy with that.
It's a very nice thing, actually, to have a motivator. They race out at Paris Auto Speedway under Don Kazarian, where Christian Bourdais was a few years ago with Newman Haas, doing a little sprint cars practice and so forth. What do you plan on doing in your interesting career to motivate kids further?
Well, that's been something that's come up. I started IndyCar racing 5 years ago in 2005, or not 5 years ago, 7 years ago now. I was thinking 2005. And, that role comes up to, be an idol or a role model for young kids. And it was something that I didn't know how to deal with because I was just starting. Shoot, I was a kid. But as you get older, you start to recognize just how valuable that is. And I'm not one of those famous people that says that I didn't ask to be a role model. I'm honored to be, and I try and do my best to be a good role model. As you said, I'm a good role model. I appreciate that. I try and be. But more than anything, what I try and encourage kids to do is to be honest with who they are as a person, and find what they love. Everybody's good at something, and I truly believe you can make a career out of anything that you enjoy doing. So it's about finding that. And so, just sending out the good message that, or sending out my message anyway. I don't know if it's good or not, but sending out the message that worked for me. So I just try and do that. And of course, I try and take all the little time that I have at race weekends to accommodate the little kids before everyone else. So.
Quick follow-up. Can you think a little bit about Talladega?
It does look pretty fun. We were leaving Barbara last weekend, and I knew that Talladega was the next weekend. And, it's one of those races, I think, that in a race car driver's life they'd like to do. So I'm sure that it's going to be a good race this weekend. But we'll just have to see if I get my chance there. But I'm sure it'll be good to watch.
Any other questions?
Kevin Graham on Versus.com. Danica, could you talk about the double file restarts? Are you comfortable? And then how do you see it playing out in this tight circuit?
Exciting for the fans. Perhaps crash damage for the teams. We just don't have quite the room here, given that it's a tight first corner, relatively speaking, it's second gear. And you can't drop a wheel because there is no dropping a wheel, it's hitting the wall with your wheel. So, there's no runoff, there's nowhere to go. If something happens there, you can very easily block the road. So it's really the track that makes it challenging. But it's also what's going to make it interesting as well. And so I'm very open-minded as a driver that that's what we need to do. If that's what we need to do to make it more interesting for the fans, then so be it. But it's, I think that even when you look at the point situation with IndyCar right now, given these double file restarts and the things that can happen on them, there's some very good drivers that aren't in the top 10, and you know that because practice is, the first 45 minutes of practice is open for everyone outside the top 10 in points. So you have some very good drivers in there, so it's definitely shaken it up a lot, and but it's just a new challenge, but it seems as though it's been, I don't know, maybe you could tell me, do you like it better?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah? Well, good. Well, then it's doing what it's supposed to.
Well, the owners keep liking it better.
Well, the owners proposed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was Chip and Roger that proposed it. So, it was an owner's idea. So, I'm not saying every owner was in on that, but there are definitely some very influential owners. So, I think that from my perspective, the most important thing is that people watch our sport. If people watch our sport, then the sponsors see the numbers, and the sponsors join on and pay money to be on the car. If that keeps happening and building up, then the teams will have enough funding to fix a few extra front wings. That won't be a problem. So it has its way of working out.
Well, Danica, thank you very much. We'll let you get out of here and get prepped for this afternoon's practice.
Thank you.
We would like to welcome up Esteban Guerrieri and James Winslow, our fastest two drivers of the day from Firestone Indy Lights, for a quick presentation.